Shall we rise for the national anthem? Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's call obey, to serve our fatherland with love and the labor of our heroes shall never and mark one nation bound in freedom, peace, and unity. Thank you. You may be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for joining us. This is the Eti Osa Constituency Candidates Debate brought to you by AIG Media Pro and Ibile Foundation. My name is Yomi Uwope and I will be your moderator for today. Today's debate will focus on local as well as national issues affecting Eti Osa. As residents of one of the most important constituencies in Africa's largest city, Lagos, Nigeria, it is of great importance that we question those vying to represent us at the federal level on their plans and programs for Eti Osa and indeed Nigeria, should they be elected into office. This debate is therefore indispensable to the electorate, who will, in a matter of days, be making their choice of who will represent them at the Federal House of Representatives this year. Ladies and gentlemen, shall we begin? First, we're going to do a brief introduction of candidates here present. Let me restate here that the candidates are running for the Eti Osa Federal Constituency. Our first candidate representing the Yes Party is Adejimi Moshood Oni. Mr. Oni holds a BSc Education, Political Science from the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. He is a member of the Nigerian Institute of Management and has received an award from the National Youth Service Corps for his engagement in special community service. Let's welcome from the Yes Party, Mr. Adejimi Moshood Oni. Our next candidate, representing the Alliance for New Nigeria, ANN, is Ferdinand Ladi Adimefe, who is a creative industrialist and techpreneur. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Imaginarium Global Creative Technologies firm. He holds a master's degree from the Pan-Atlantic University and a BSc Human Anatomy from the University of Port Harcourt. He is a fellow of the Institute of Development Associations of Nigeria, IDAN, and is a member of the Information Communications Committee of the Nigeria Economic Forum. He is on the board of several non-profit organizations focused on youth and economic growth and the curator of the Creative Nigeria Project. That's Ladi Ferdinand Adimefe. Let's give him a round of applause. Our third candidate, representing the All Progressives Congress, APC, is Ibrahim Babajide Obanikoro. Mr. Obanikoro is a scion of leading Nigerian politician Musliu Obanikoro. He has qualifications from King's College, Lagos, a BSc in Political Science from St. Cloud University, Minnesota, a master's in Public Administration from Pace University, New York, and attended a local government seminar at Oxford University. He has experience in banking, agriculture, and political activism for social change. He is arguably the largest indigenous tilapia fish farmer in southwest Nigeria. Let's welcome Mr. Ibrahim Babajide Obanikoro. Our next candidate, Representing the Alliance for Democracy, AD, is Barrister Oladotun Hassan. Aremon Oladotun Hassan, Esquire, is a lawyer, human rights activist, and humanitarian. He studied law at the Lagos State University, where he obtained a law degree and was called to the bar after attending the Nigerian Law School. He was the convener anti-Lekki tolling movement, which protested against the 2018 increase in toll fares at both the Admiralty Circle Plaza and Lekki Link Bridge on the 9th of February 2018. He also contested and won the Olokonla demolition saga led by law agencies on the 16th at Ayetoro Town Block Village, Lekki, Lagos, where one Sadiq Ismail was killed during the military Operation Crocodile Smile in the bid by the Lagos State government to evacuate the area. He is a member of various social clubs, organizations, and has served in various leadership positions. Let's welcome Aremo Oladotun Hassan, Esquire. Our next candidate, representing the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, ANRP, is Olukayode Awokoya. Mr. Awokoya is a financial sector professional with more than 2 decades experience in treasury and financial institutions, e-banking, transaction services, retail banking, and many more, with strong competence in treasury and human capital management. He is the principal consultant at Podium Capital Limited, having worked in several banks, rising to the position of assistant general manager before striking out on his own. He holds an MBA from the Manchester Business School and is an associate of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. Let's welcome Mr. Olukayode Awokoya. And finally, representing the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is Omotesho Tony Bakary. Mr. Bakary was born in Lagos Island on December 1st, 1969. He has a degree in business administration from the Federal Polytechnic Ilaro. He has extensive experience in the financial sector and also in manufacturing and engineering sectors. He also has interest in real estate and the hospitality industries. Mr. Bakary has been a member of the PDP since 1999. Let's welcome Mr. Tony Bakary. Okay then, we will now proceed and go over the format and rules of this debate. Number 1, each candidate has 90 seconds, that's 1 minute and 30 seconds, to make their opening remarks. Opening remarks will be delivered from this podium. Your opening remark is your pitch to voters. That's you're talking to us, you're talking to Eti Osans, about what you will do if elected to the Federal House of Representatives on February 16th. Number 2, after your opening remarks, the first set of questions will commence. The first set of questions are 5, covering issues affecting Eti Osa and then national issues. Candidates will have 1 minute and 30 seconds each to answer the questions. For every question, candidates will have 30 seconds for rebuttal. That means when one candidate is making a submission, you will have the opportunity for a rebuttal if you wish, and then you will be given 30 seconds to make that rebuttal. If there are no rebuttals, we will move on to the next question, of course. Number 4, candidates are encouraged to be courteous with one another at all times. Number 5, we also enjoin distinguished guests and members of the audience to kindly be courteous and respectful with all candidates during the proceedings here today. Now, of course, for those of you participating online, you will have the opportunity, of course, to ask questions. Please send in your questions using the hashtag Eti Osa Debate on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And of course, you can tag AIG Media Pro on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and also at Ibile TV Lagos on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We will now begin with our opening address. Please let's welcome the candidate representing the Yes Party, Mr. Adejimi Moshood Oni, with a round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to be here today, to be part of this debate process. I really appreciate my inclusion, I really appreciate the organizers for including my name, for including me to be part of this debate process, because it's something I really cherish a lot. It's a golden opportunity for me. At least the voice of the youth will be heard. And I'm happy to be here today to reach out to my people of Eti Osa in order for them to know what I have in plans when I get to office as the Federal House of Representatives member. My name is Adejimi Moshood Oni of the Yes Party. I want to tell all of us here that I'm sure that we are tired of the present conspiracy that the present political class has led us to, and I'm sure we say yes to a greater Nigeria. Okay, and I'm sure that we say yes to a greater Nigeria. I'm sure we're tired of what is going on around in our community, the negativity that is happening in our community, and we must go against all odds to make sure that in the forthcoming election we actually vote our conscience and vote for a yes to a greater Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Adejimi Oni, for that speech. Now, just to mention that at 1 minute, because you have 1 minute and 30 seconds, at 1 minute, there'll be a warning bell. And then at the expiration of 1 minute and 30 seconds, let's now welcome the candidate representing the APC, Mr. Ibrahim Babajide Obanikoro.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ibrahim Babajide Obanikoro, the APC candidate for House of Reps, Eti Osa Federal Constituency. Why should you elect me? I want you to elect me because I believe I'm the most ready for this job. By education, I studied political science for my first degree, and I bagged my master's in public administration. That is to tell you that I am geared and wired towards public service. I am the one that has the knowledge of Eti Osa. I have been through the length and breadth of Eti Osa, and I can tell you Eti Osa is divided into three. You have Eti Osa Constituency 2, which is the face of Lagos State. You have Eti Osa Constituency 1, which is a developing area. And then you have the riverine area, Takwabi, Abagbo, Obutueko, Ogogoro. That is the underdeveloped area. Now, I have been to all the ballets. I've been to our royal fathers. I've met with market women and men. I have met with all the not all, but most of the physically challenged. I've met with the corporate bodies. I've met with president associations. I have discussed the issue of Eti Osa with them, and we have a map of way forward. I have bills and motions that are ready to be sponsored immediately we resume office. I also have, I will be holding town hall meetings to make sure that whatever I am going through at the National Assembly, the people of Eti Osa are involved. We're going to have 4 different constituency offices to make sure that we bridge the gap between our representative and the people of Eti Osa. And I'm going to also be sending monthly newsletters via social media or text messages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the candidate representing the APC, Ibrahim Babajide Obanikoro. Please, at this point, let's be very calm, members of the audience. I know that we're all supporting our candidates. Please let's calmly support them because we have to move forward with the proceedings very quickly. Thank you so much. Now let's welcome the candidate representing the Alliance for Democracy, AD, Aremo Oladotun Hassan Esquire.
All protocol duly observed. I must firstly appreciate the organizers of this August debate. Firstly, my name is Oladotun Hassan, a legal practitioner. It must be well noted that debates are not meant to be, it's not meant to be a quest to choosing the best orator, but to defining the best man for the job. And critically analyzing who's the best man is someone with intellectual capacity, someone who has the mind of service, someone who has been there before and who knows the pains of the people, who is well knowledgeable about the impact assessment of the needs of the people of Eti Osa. And these are critical issues that I'm bringing to the front. That's why I'm introducing to you the best man for the job, and that is Oladotun Hassan. I'm representing the Alliance for Democracy as a party, and for the position of the Federal House of Representatives at the 9th Chamber of the National Assembly. Critical to understand, we know that Eti Osa have gone through so many pains and downturns in the time past. And this is the only right time for us to really salvage the situation. And for me, I've prepared myself for this job. You must well know that as far as I'm going, let me intimate you that I've prepared over 20 bills ahead of time. I've worked out a whole lot of programs that are very impactful. Within the next 100 days, I'm going to be delivering all this. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oladotun Hassan Esquire. Thank you. All right, before we do the introduction for the last candidate representing the ANRP, I have some updates for us regarding one of our contestants. The candidate representing the PDP, Mr. Tony Bakri, has sent a representative. Now, that usually is not what we do in a debate, but because he has sent a representative, we will ask the other contenders whether they will accept for a representative of the PDP to join them in this debate. So it is not for the audience to decide, it is for the contenders themselves to decide. Will you accept for Mr. Tony Bakri to have a representative join you for this debate? All right, thank you very much. We will proceed. I just want to mention that he indeed sent a representative in the person of Comrade Israel Akintola. Thank you so much for that. And then we will now proceed and have the candidate representing the ANRP, that's the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. Let's welcome Mr. Olukayode Awokoya.
Thank you. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria. And good morning to all Nigerians all over the world who may be watching this. I'm Olukayode Babatunde Awokoya. Why should you elect me as your House of Rep in Abuja? I'm the most credible and competent candidate, not just for House of Rep, but in all the offices in Eti Osa. I have been in this community for the past 28 years with a track record of integrity and competency in the financial services business. You will agree with me that Nigeria today has a deficit in credible leadership. I have been tested in my community. I represent my community. I'm a leader in my community. I lead my community for the past 3 years. I have worked as treasurer, financial controller, head of human resources of leading banks. And to correct my intro, I left the banking industry in 2010 as an acting general manager. I actually was an assistant general manager in the year 2004. My integrity is well tested because of the institutions that I have certified in. I'm registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission. I'm registered as a capital market operator. I'm an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. I'm also a chartered stockbroker. I have the credentials to bring abundant living to Eti Osa. I'm sure you will vote for the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can we have another round of applause for all our candidates this morning? All right, so for the questions are structured into three. We have the questions that are focused specifically on issues that affect Eti Osa. Then we have questions that focus on national issues because you're going to be at the National Assembly. And then we have candidate-specific questions that were sourced from either your policy document, from your website, or some of the comments that you have made over the past few weeks and months. So to begin, our first question will go to all the candidates. So for the first two sets of questions, as the national one, the national questions, and also the questions related to Eti Osa, that's the general questions, all candidates will answer them from this podium. Now, when you do that, again, like I said before, if there's any candidate who is sitting who opposes what the candidate standing here is saying, you will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. If there's no rebuttal, we move on to the next question. I hope we all understand that. Thank you so much. So the first question is, Eti Osa local government is one of the most developed areas in Nigeria by comparison with others. It is large, cosmopolitan, and continues to expand at a rapid rate. So here is the question. If elected, how do you intend to meet the high expectations of residents and businesses of the Eti Osa constituency? Please be specific in your submissions. All right, we will now welcome Mr. Adejimi Oni, who's going to be talking to us first.
Thank you very much. As I said earlier, we all understand the conspiracy that the present political class is limiting our access to, which are good healthcare, quality education, and empowerment. We understand our environment, our constituency, how it is. It's a developed area, but in as much as this place is a developed area and we have probably, well, let me say in quotes, wealthy people around, we are still suffering basic things, and those are the most important things in life. And on that note, I set my political agenda, which is quality healthcare, quality education, good healthcare, and empowerment. And over the years, I've noticed in this Eti Osa, because I've been here in Eti Osa for the past 10 years as well. And as a young man who goes around, I see things that are not supposed to be in place, as in things that are not supposed to be how it is now. And on my own side, I will make sure that when I get to the House of Assembly, the House of Representatives, I will make sure I work out, I will propose a working bill that would actually affect, that would be of benefit to all of us in Eti Osa. And the working bills will be focusing more on empowerment, because we know as people of Eti Osa, we need empowerment. We need people we have people that have skills and people that are
Thank you very much, Mr. Oni. Do we have any rebuttals from the stage? All right, we'll then proceed to the next speaker, Mr. Obanikoro.
Thank you. The question goes, if elected, how do I intend to meet the demands of the people? Now, if elected, the strategy that I'm going to put in place, if elected, the strategy that I'm going to put in, sorry, I think I should switch on this. If and when elected, let me say that, sorry, when elected, after elections, the strategy that I'm going to put in place, we're going to have multiple constituency offices, because Eti Osa has been divided into 4 different local governments. we're going to create a data bank with the constituency offices, whereby we're going to encourage all our youths or working class and make use of the campaign office constituency office as a hub center. Where you looking for a job, come here. Those wanting to give job, come here. So everybody will meet there. If your criteria, your CV meets the employer's demands, there you go. So that we're going to use the constituency office for that. We're going to engage the community with town hall meetings. Maybe it could be once a month, could be twice a year. We'll figure that out when we get to the office. And then a lot of the things that I'll be bringing to the table is synergy. I'm going to work hand in hand with the local government chairman, with the House of Assembly member, and with our senatorial representative as well, so that we bring infrastructure to Eti Osa. And most of the key issues that we have, let me just touch on health. There are two general hospitals in Eti Osa that are both 90 to 95% complete. So what we need to do is make sure that these things are completed. One is in Iranla and the other one is in Ogombo. So I want, immediately we get into office, I'm going to sponsor a motion, because motion is the quickest way to respond to an emergency. So I'll take that as an emergency, that in this Eti Osa, we are one of the first 5 local governments that generate the highest revenue for Lagos State and indeed Nigeria as a whole. So we deserve healthcare in the whole of Eti Osa. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Obanikoro. Let's now welcome the candidate representing the AD, Aremo Oladotun Hassan.
Well, to start with, I believe I initially informed that I'm prepared. It's not that I'm still thinking of what to do. And as part of the preparation is that I've done a critical understanding of the needs of the Eti Osa federal constituency. As a people, we know there are critical areas that need attention. One is on infrastructural development. That is also the human resource needs of the people and empowerment, health, education, and every other critical needs that every other urgent needs on a daily basis. And as part of my policy plan, the federal constituency is divided into 10 wards with very large and immediate needs, different from maybe different areas. And these are the constituency offices which I'll be establishing in all the 10 wards, to ensuring that every ward's needs are really attended to based on their own critical area of needs. And also, based on my measure of attaining all these objectives, if elected, within the next 100 days, a whole lot of measures will be taken. Firstly, the issue of the toll gate will be addressed, because I'm going to be moving a very critical petition before the National Assembly to ensuring that the issue of tolling, sometimes ago, have been abolished by the Obasanjo era, and we can also re-abolish the same issue as far as if elected at the floor of the House. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan Esquire. Let's now welcome Mr. Awukoya, representing the ANRP.
I'm going to do things differently and in a very critical and strategic manner. First, I'm going to make Eti Osa to be the entrepreneurial hub of Lagos and Nigeria. We have comparative advantage in Eti Osa. Number one is hospitality. We have most of the good hotels in Nigeria in this place. The value chain from the hospitality will what will feed the teeming youths who are jobless. Oriental Hotel, where we are now, was not here 30 years ago. And so many other hotels. And what are the value chains? People need to learn even how to be cleaners here, how to be security, how to cook how to cook the meals. Now, the second thing is that I'm going to make people learn about construction. We have very limited land space, and it's very expensive. So you're going to see in Eti Osa that most of the buildings that are 1-story, 2-story, they're going to go down. And there'll be more high-rise buildings being built for efficient use of the resources we have. So it's going to create a construction boom, and these are going to be the focus of my acts and the vocational training for our teaming residents. Lastly, I want to make governance to be self-governance in Eti Osa. We're going to have health, education, and infrastructure foundation in each of the wards. Having people in the local government, the traditional institutions, the religious institutions, the business community, the employment community as stakeholders who will build the hospitals, the schools that are going to be affordable for all, that are going to be near public in a public-private sector partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okoya. Now we will proceed to question number 2 for all the candidates. I just want to confirm one more time that there are no rebuttals from the stage. Let us proceed. We are talking about social welfare. A drive down the major streets of Ikoyi, Victoria Island, and the Lekki Expressway will bring you in contact with hundreds of young children living on the streets and begging for a living. This trend has become a social menace, which may degenerate to a full-blown crisis. These children are obviously not in school, and some of them even engage in petty trading. To all the candidates, is this a personal concern for you? If yes, will you be willing to work to solve it if elected? What exactly will you do? Now, for this question, we're going to start from ground up. We started with Mr. Oni. Now we're going to be starting with the candidate representing the ANRP, Mr. Olukayode Awokoya. Let's give him a round of applause.
Certainly, the children on the streets are a concern for me because it means that the future of the country is even getting worse. And so, when elected as your representative, I will just principally take them off the streets. They will either
How will you take them off the streets?
They
Sir?
will either have to go to school, for which we will ensure that we get them subsidized education. We'll also have vocational training centers in 3 hubs that I have planned for the entire Eti Osa. One is at Obalende, the other is at Jakonde, and the other is at Aja, which are hubs where you will see most of these people. They will be taught how to get involved in a trade. They will be taught how to use the computer, and the best computer these days is a telephone, in how to be more useful to themselves. And more importantly, we're going to relate with their parents, because most of the time their parents are the ones who are making them to be on the streets. We're going to engage with the parents and make sure that the parents are gainfully employed in some of the employment schemes that we have planned, even for our constituency. So with time, you're not going to see them again. Thank you very much.
Let's welcome, representing the AD, Mr. Hassan Esquire.
I believe the issue of the little kids and some of those issues you've rightly mentioned is not only related to those children on the street. Even in our various communities, there are a lot of youth that are really jobless, a lot of youth that are just roaming and they have become drug addicts. These are real issues that are really bedeviling the whole of Eti Osa. Not just Eti Osa alone, but I believe Nigeria is a very is having serious issues in this regard. And it's very important that I've already prepared a measure of solution in this regard. I'm a solution-minded person. And for those that have known me and based on my antecedents, you can really recall that I've been in the front burner of various issues, and I've really offered myself in critical areas of need. And in ensuring that we are achieving this objective, I've been able to develop a self-funding approach through what is called the Eti Osa Development Endowment Trust Fund. I'm not going to come in with provision of Okada and all this kind of empowerment that is always the usual that we see every day. I'm coming up with a very solid program, long-term planning, through the self-funding Eti Osa Development Endowment Trust Fund. This will be addressing various areas of need, especially education and empowerment and training. And I want to let you know, Eti Osa is one of the largest economic hubs, and with the corporate social responsibility of all these corporate multinationals, we can divert it towards synergy in ensuring that we develop Eti Osa for the greater success. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan. Let's now welcome Mr. Obani Koro of the APC.
Thank you again. I know for a fact that Lagos State has a facility in Ikorodu where they take these kids off the street and take them to. So what I will do immediately after election is collaborate with Lagos State and the local government. And then at the National Assembly, there's what you call government zonal interjection fund. Now, what you use that fund to do is to sponsor projects. So with the motion I'm going to move immediately is let us also have an orphanage home here, because majority of these kids, their parents are not even here. Their parents also are not employable. So they get them off the streets, and then you can now think about how to rehabilitate them. So the first thing I would do is collaborate with Lagos State and the local government, go to the National Assembly, push a motion to say that we need an orphanage structure here in Eti Osa, to add to the one we have in Uruvai or existing already in Uruvai. I believe that is the first way to get them out of the on the streets, and then to also find a way to keep them in that orphanage facility. So there has to be creative, whether it will be games or a vocational center. They are too young again to be trained, because they themselves don't know what they want in life, because these are 5, 6, 7-year-old kids. So it's very difficult to tell them to go and start learning how to do fashion designing or kitchen or whatever you know. So maybe there will be a school within that facility, because these kids have seen life, and caging them won't be what they want anymore. Otherwise, they just turn wild. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obenikoro. Let's now welcome Mr. Oni.
Thank you very much. On this note is why I'm running for office. As a commoner, I'm a commoner in Eti Osa. I don't have a car. I don't have a bicycle. I walk on the street, so I see things that happen, and I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable. Part of why I'm running is because as a citizen, I'm not comfortable myself. I see people sleep by the roadside, even not just people that sleep by the roadside. I see even the women that clean the roads. I see sufferness everywhere. But as a person, I'm a humanitarian. I've done my own possible best to contribute to people around, like giving some incentives like that, at least for people to be able to manage. But as a person, if elected as a representative in Eti Osa, I want to use my power. I want to use the power of my office to engage people. Because most of these youth that we say they're on the street, they have their own skills. We can teach them some craft whereby they can come up with some products. We also set up a center whereby we can always invite them around to showcase their skills also. And there will also be a kind of creation there will also be a place for us. There will be a setup that will invite people around to tell us what they need. Because it's not just about what we think for them, it's about what they want for themselves as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all the candidates. I will assume that there are no rebuttals from the stage at this time. We shall then proceed to question number 3 and then to the national questions. Let's talk about infrastructure. Few people will disagree with the facts about the high cost of living in Eti Osa and the high cost of doing business. Often, these high costs do not necessarily lead to better standards of living or better conditions of working for the people. From Obalende to Jakonde, including highly populated settlements and communities like Otodogbame, Igboefon, and many more, conditions are quite deplorable. There is always the risk of flooding or the outbreak of disease. Are you proposing any programs or initiatives to mitigate these circumstances faced by tens of thousands of residents in the area? Please let us know what exactly you are proposing. We'll start with the Yes Party, Mr. Oni. Okay, let me take the question once again. Maybe I took it a bit too fast. We're talking about infrastructure. Few people will disagree with facts about the high cost of living in Eti Osa and the high cost of doing business. Often these high costs do not necessarily lead to better standards of living or better working conditions for the people. Different areas of the local government, from Obalende to Jakonde, including highly populated settlements and communities like Otoro Bame, Igboefon, and many more, conditions are quite deplorable. There's always the risk of flooding, outbreak of disease. Are you proposing any programs or initiatives to mitigate the circumstances faced by tens of thousands of residents in the area? Let us know specifically what you intend to achieve. Once again, let's welcome the candidate from the Yes Party, Mr. Oni.
Thank you very much. All right. If elected as representative in Eti Osa, this is a very germane question. It's a very important thing for us because we understand the high cost of renting an apartment or even living in Eti Osa, even buying of goods and services. I'll be proposing. I already have proposals on ground, which will, definitely it will come up immediately I get to office. We'll make sure that because for people that are not economically, maybe let me just say they are economically disadvantaged, we will ensure that we assist them in maybe getting a place where, in getting a situation whereby they can actually have a means to an end in the society. But the main point is, if I get to the House of Assembly, I will make sure I propound a working bill that will be of good to us in Eti Osa. And if it's not just Eti Osa alone, it will go around to the whole federation. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's welcome the candidate from the APC, Mr. Obanikoro.
Unfortunately, 90 minutes is not enough to answer this particular question, but I'll try my best. Now, if you are very conversant with Eti Osa, majority of Eti Osa now is a sandfield. And to sandfield, it costs a lot of money. That's one of the reasons why the standard of living here is high, because the initial capital invested in the land here is enormous. Now, like I told you at the beginning, Eti Osa is in 3 phases. You have Ikoyi-Obalende, which is the face of Lagos State. You have Eti Osa Constituency 1, which is a developing state. And then you now have the Takwa Bay area, where there is no development at all. Now, what I'm going to do is to work hand in hand with the executive arm of Governor of Lagos State and the local government chairman, because they are the ones with the executive power and the budget to actually make things happen. So what we're going to do, or what I am going to do actually, also the resident associations, they also come into play here as well. Now, people should stop moving into areas that is not ready. Town planning does not even have plans for some areas. So that's why you see that in some areas, after about 6-8 months of building, your building is standing, is not straight anymore because the land has not settled. So we're going to sponsor a bill that would put into regulation that before you start commencing your building, let town planning have a plan for that particular area. And the demand in this side is so high. And they say the higher the demand, the lesser the supply, and the higher the price. So that is a social norm that has made the cost of living here in Eti Osa high. Sorry.
Thank you so much, Mr. Obaniko. Let's welcome Mr. Awokoya of the ANRP.
I haven't been to most of these communities myself. I know that flooding is a topographical problem in Eti Osa, but there are things that can be done by the communities. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll mobilize the communities for simple things of clearing their drainages, of not littering dirt all over the place, to ensure that the impact of these floods, are very minimal in these communities. The other thing that we're going to do that is long-term is that we're going to work through the framework that I intend to introduce, the Eti Osa Health education and infrastructural foundation. This structure is going to have a lot of private sector participation. And I've already made initial contact even with a lot of the big corporates that are operating here, the oil companies. Most of the oil companies, Chevron, Total, ExxonMobil, they are very high on the environment. And they are willing to invest in a cleaner and better environment for the majority of the residents in Eti Osa. But they are looking for a framework where they don't put money in government people's hands and the money gets missing. We have discussed with them, and we will see impact in some of these communities within 3 to 6 months that I'm elected into office. The last thing about the communities themselves is that we'll keep educating them on their minds, on their responsibility to their immediate environment. Nobody will love your environment better than you. We're going to continue this education, and I believe with a mixture of these measures, these communities that are very bad places to live will be better places to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Awokoya. Let's welcome the candidate representing the AD, Barrister Hassan.
Maybe I'll first suggest to the organizers, I think it will be better convenient for us to be using the mic on the stage so that it will ease our discourse, so that we can flow progressively. So maybe as an advice to the organizer, but mainly to the crux of your question, I believe there is what I've developed is called as a lawmaker, we have to really understand one critical thing. We are not executive, and we cannot be promising and giving all the over-bloated promises, but we need to work within the confines of our legislative duties and practice. And as a lawyer, I really understand the job of lawmaking. When it comes to the impact projects that we have to be doing at our constituency, that's where these are going to be well-trained specialists who are going to be representing me as the Eti Osa rep. And this will definitely, I've already outlined that in every of the 10 wards, there are different issues. The issue of flooding is one critical area. If you look at our coastal lines now, there is no barriers at our coastal lines. We are living below the sea level. And there is no measure in the interim, but maybe via the federal government, because these are areas the federal government and the state government needs to create a synergy. And this is where I'll be coming in to ensuring that as part of my constituency needs, because I've already defined measures of how to attend to the issues. On the issue of lawmaking, I already told you that one area that I'll be looking at are bill formulation. And every other thing will come in line as far as I believe. So just be rest assured, when we get into office, we attend to most of all these needs critically.
Thank you so much, Barrister Hassan. All right, we'll move to the next set of questions. And because we... Okay, so we have a rebuttal, and let's welcome Mr. Obanikoro, who has 30 seconds for his rebuttal.
Thank you. In the response of the ANRP candidate to the question, he mentioned Shell and all these multinational companies that he has engaged them and that he's going to work with them. In my observation, and from understanding Eti Osa extremely well, these companies are one of the reasons why living standard is very high in Eti Osa. These companies are the reasons why our Niger Delta region are not what they are supposed to be today. So I need to understand better. Maybe we can later talk about it.
Yes, Mr. Awokoya can respond in 30 seconds.
I know all these multinationals. I did my A-levels in Warri. I interact with them as my clients. They have a very huge budget on their environment. Their home countries mandate them that the environments they operate, they must operate at the same standard they operate in their home country.
But Mr. Obanikoro's statement is that where they operate, like in the Niger Delta, there are challenges. So that's the point he's trying to make.
Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that they have hindrances here. They have the templates. If they do it in Oman, in Dubai, why can't they do it in Nigeria? They have hindrances. I will remove that hindrance. I know the templates for which they operate. And we have the laws for us to follow. But the hindrances are mainly corruption. And I will stand against the corruption in the process of ensuring that resources that the global community wants to put in a community gets to that community.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Okoya. We eventually are going to allow our candidates speak from where they are seated, but not yet. You know that after they get elected, they will enter their air-conditioned vehicles with tinted glasses. We will not see them again. So let's put them on their feet. Let's give them a round of applause. They're doing well. Now we have two questions related with national issues. And the first question is this. At the national level, Nigeria is faced with a plethora of problems. What, in your opinion, are the two most critical areas that need to be addressed across the country? And what do you intend to do about them if elected? How will Eti Osa benefit from this? That's the first question. Let me take it again. At the national level, Nigeria is faced with a plethora of problems. What, in your opinion, are the two most critical areas that need to be addressed across the country, and what do you intend to do about them if elected? How will Eti Osa benefit from this? Let's welcome once again the candidate from the Yes Party, Mr. Oni.
Thank you very much. The national
Okay. The issues affecting the two most critical areas that you want addressed as a member of the National Assembly, and what will you do about them when elected or if elected, and how will Eti Osa benefit from this?
Thank you very much. I as a person will focus more on health, because health is as important to man as food. I understand, just as I have it in my manifesto, that for the quality education, good healthcare, and empowerment. But at the national level, I'll be focusing more on empowerment and health, because it is very important as human. If in our hospitals, if we have, I will make sure I set up a working bill that will initiate a regulatory body for our hospitals around, whereby there will be the regulatory body will go to the hospital, even if possible every week or monthly, to checkmate what is happening there, to make sure that they have the proper healthcare facilities, just like the oxygen, even to make sure that they have free bed space and everything. Because I've seen a situation whereby people go to the hospital and we hear that someone died, or maybe someone, there is no any means of going forward with the person just because of the lack of basic health facilities. And also I'll be focusing more on empowerment. We know there is poverty in the land. As I've said, I will continue to stay on this note that empowerment is very important. We need to empower people, and I will make sure the empowerment happens with the constituency allowance, because I'm definitely going to spend the constituency allowance to the people. But in a nutshell, I'll be rounding up this by saying that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Oni. Let's welcome Mr. Obanikoro of the APC. Please, this is to the audience. Please kindly restrict the movement because of the cameras. Please be very careful when you move around.
Two things that that bother me on the national level: one, unemployment, and two, the issue of restructuring. Now, on the issue of unemployment, let me quickly say that we have a lot of projects. Products that we don't take advantage of. Like, for example, let's talk about SMEs, those that want to do businesses. If you go to the website of the Bank of Industry, there are a few things that we can take advantage of there. And I am going to continuously educate my people while in office that we need, there are two things that we have to take advantage of with the Bank of Industry. And that is one, the management fund. The managed fund is what they use to assist farmers to grow in their businesses. Nobody takes advantage of that. So usually, I don't know how the money ends up. But for the good people of Eti Osa, the few farmers that we have here, I'm going to help them take advantage of that fund. And then there's one more fund, the tech fund as well. And that is for SMEs, these corporate bodies, limited liability companies and enterprises. They can also take advantage of this funds. It's there for them to apply for. I will teach my people. I would educate them that let's take advantage of this. So these are the things that I will continuously teach the good people of Eti Osa, the farmers and those that want to do businesses. And on the issue of restructuring, once I get there, I'm going to join the team of those supporting restructuring, because if every state controls their resources, I believe Lagos State will move further and faster than where we are today. Thank you.
Any rebuttals to that? Any rebuttals? Okay, so any rebuttals to the comment by either Mr. Oni or Mr. Obanikoro? All right, let's proceed. Let's welcome Barrister Hassan.
The issues are on the national level. We know the issue of restructuring is on the front burner. For those that really don't know what restructuring is all about, that means the issue of our constitution. We are operating a decree as far as the constitution is concerned. And there is inequality in the sharing of our national resources. Even the way our governance structure is being based, there is a need for us to really bring governance to the grassroots and to the local government. The listing, the issue of exclusive and the concurrent list, there is a need for us to really understand there are some of these issues that are on the exclusive list which ought to be at the state level and be managed by local government. So these are issues I'll be working on. I've been able to provide a solution in respect of that, and that is a bill to establishing the National Restructuring Affairs Commission. And this bill is going to ensure that that commission will look critically on the issue of our constitution. How do we really harmonize the needs policy, the SDG, the 1963 constitution, and the Confab report? We have to really harmonize this in order for us to have an indissoluble and people's constitution. Also the issue of unemployment. And we know that critically our youth today are really lying fallow without any developmental plan. My own objective is to work on what is called the National Development Right Law, in which we provide the Nigerian youth with their adequate power, not as a privilege that you everything that an average Nigerian youth needs to develop. That bill will ensure that it meets with the definite needs of the people. I believe strongly that there are a whole lot of issues, but I'm sure maybe I have to advise them once again. The 90 seconds is really not enough for us to really analyze the real issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Maybe give us 5 minutes to talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Barrister Hassan. Let's welcome the candidate of the ANRP, Mr. Awokoya.
On the issues that are facing us, first I'll start from the point where the World Bank and IMF apologized that they had previously told us we had problems with infrastructure, roads, but our real problem is a human capital problem. So the number one issue I have in Nigeria is that we have poor leadership. We have incompetent and poorly credible people who are in governance at all levels of our public life. That is an area that I want to make sure that changes in Nigeria. And I'm setting that example by offering myself, and will encourage good governance all over the country. We're going to teach the citizens that at every level they must demand accountability from those who are leading them. And the tools for demanding this accountability, they are there and they are numerous. But we're going to continue in that advocacy. Second problem we have is not ethnicity or tribe or whatever. It's economic problem. We are almost 200 million Nigerians today. About 15, 20 years ago, we were about half this size. We are still planning on 2 million barrels of crude oil. So we're all fighting, bigger people fighting for the smaller thing. So I am going to push for a great, a growth in the economy more by devolution of power to states. How will it benefit states like Eti Osa? Eti Osa, like I told you before, has comparative advantage in tourism and hospitality. The money Eti Osa will make with private beaches, Donald Trump will come and invest here. The beaches are here. The money Eti Osa will make will be more than crude oil any Nigeria. That's what I will do for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the candidate of the ANRP, Mr. Awokoya. Do we have any rebuttals from the stage? Okay, so we have 2 rebuttals. Please, 30 seconds each. You may make your rebuttals. And any responders will also have 30 seconds. Please come forward, sir. Mr. Okoya, so Mr. Hassan is saying, Barrister Hassan is saying that do you intend to take over the functions of the executive governor of the state, talking about tourism?
Well, let me let them know that the governors didn't set up any tourist business. Tourist business are set up by corporates, by individuals. I will create the laws and the policies for an enabling environment for a growth in tourism business. People want to build beaches. They want to build things from Eko Atlantic down to Okunwaja. They are being held down. I am a capital market operator. I can structure the deals. I can structure the transactions. I know the fund managers locally and offshore. They are my customers. I've related with them for over 25 years. Who can make this happen? They are the ones funding this thing. So my role is to create enabling environment and laws for businesses to thrive in hospitality.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okoya. So who are you rebutting? Are you rebutting Mr. Okay.
No, two rebuttals. Two rebuttals. I just want to educate my brother. There's no such thing as constituency allowance anymore. It's now called zonal intervention fund. So if you're going to go into office, let's be prepared for what we're going for. And I would say you are better off using the word you would facilitate, not I will. You don't have a budget to do what you are saying. And you're saying that the government did not, has nothing to do with our beaches. Before anybody does anything, you have to get a permit. The only person that can give you the permit is the executive governor of Lagos State or the local government chairman. That's my rebuttal.
You have 30 seconds to respond.
You should say I will facilitate. First, people must know what is doable before they can do it. Even the state people in office at the state, many of them don't know what is doable. And that's why the business deals are leaving the country. What's my role as a lawmaker, as a representative? I will let them know that, look, you can give this sort of permit. This party will bring this kind of investment and know-how. This is the benefit to your community. So why don't we do this deal? So the reasons why we're not seeing most of the deals is that the people just don't know it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Okoya. Okay, you have one more response. One more response, sir, for this. Okay, let's move on. Please, Mr. Okoya, thank you so much. Can we give a round of applause to all the candidates? So we will allow you sit for a few moments. So we'll have the next set of discussions from the stage. So if I can get the ushers to please help me with the microphones, just send some microphones up the stage. And then we will take questions from the audience. So if you have questions in the audience, I would advise that you try to write it down so that you can be concise when you're reading out the question. So I'm not going to read out your question for you. You will read it, but it's better for you to write it so that you're able to be very concise when the questions are being taken. I think we need more than one microphone on the stage, please. Can we have more than one microphone on the stage, please? Okay, so there are 2 microphones on the stage. All right, so we are now moving to... Do I have sound here? Can you all hear me? All right, we're moving to the candidate-specific questions, and we're starting with Barrister Oladotu Hassan. Now, in your policy documents, sir, you say you will sponsor petitions against all illegal demolition exercises in Eti Osa local government. Now, it is public knowledge that many of the structures being demolished are predominantly illegal structures in the first place, causing public nuisance and issues like flooding and even disease. Are you saying that all illegal structures and settlements should be left as they are? Do you not think that this will do more harm than good in the long run? Now, for this question as well, there will be 30 seconds for rebuttals if anybody wants to respond.
Well, I believe I've been providing practical leadership and service to the good people of Eti Osa, and they can attest to it. Because when I say I'm an advocate of the masses, especially the good people of Eti Osa, ranging from the issue of demolition exercises that have been done, carried out by the Lagos state government, especially the incumbent party, and